be immensely long-winded today. I have to take a drive at 5 a.m. to Reno. So, I have to also get back home so I could be able to take nighttime duty with my 2 children with my wife today. And I live in Stockton, so that's about a 2-hour drive from here. So, I promise you, I will not be long-winded, but I will be immensely purposeful in what I have for you all today. So, yeah, I have one genuine question. What are you in need of today? And when I ask that question, I do not ask that in the sense of like, hey, no, like what are you wanting from me? Because I can genuinely provide you nothing. However, I've connected to something and someone who I believe can provide you with everything that you may be in need of today. And I would like to be of service in that regard. So, I would like for you to think hard about that question. What are you in need of? And genuinely think about it. And as you think about it, we'll come to a point where I'll be able to ask that question unto you, and then we'll be able to get our answers out. Cool? Sweet. Now, let's go over some poetry rules. Everybody snap for me. Sweet. Don't do that today. Poetry community loves to hear snaps. I hate that. I prefer black church interaction. Yeah. I see many of y'all have not been to a black church from that lack of response. So, here's how this goes. Everybody say ooh. Ooh. Laugh. That's the real thing. Perfect. What I'm saying is this is meant to be a fun and engaging time. I do not want you to treat this like Shakespeare's roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, will you be my boo? No. This is meant to be a time in which we talk to each other. So please talk back. Do not sit there like statues. This is not black grandma's couch in the living room with old plastic on top of it. No. This is meant to be fun. Cool? Yeah. Sweet. So, I'm going to start with a piece that I have. I haven't done a set like this in a while. Not that I haven't done a set in a while. I literally just got off a plane from Chicago. But the way I'm doing my set today, I feel called to do it in a very different fashion. So, this poem is entitled Icarus, but its actual name is Lazarus. And I believe that there are quite a few artists in the room who may end up relating to this idea and may find identity in this person who I'm talking to. So, let's go. Hello, everybody. Hi, my name is Icarus, but I don't really like that name, so you all can just call me Lazarus. A little bit about myself. I'm from Greece. I'm like 30 years old, and I like pizza. A lot. Another thing about myself is I love poetry. You see, these words are like pieces to the aircraft of my soul. This pen is my toolkit, and this paper my workstation. So I meticulously assemble these magnificent parts to create wings of opportunity out of my history, to cast visions of my thoughts as to make them more tangible to the world, so I may at last learn how to fly. So I can meet my distant love of the sky in hopes that she may rid me of this gravity to at last be prepared to take off. And in preparation for this, I come here to the stage. Its presence petrifies many turns. Some of the boldest individuals I've ever met, stone stiff and shell brittle, but as me, I embrace it. You see, this stage is my launch pad, freeing my soul so it can finally stretch out its wings to bask in the rays of the sun. Because when I'm up here, it's different. You see, when I'm up here, it's like you all can see me. Like y'all can actually hear me. Yes, because I want you to see me, pristine in all my glory. See me for the beautiful person I want you to think of me as. So while I'm up here, I'll make the best of it. Next time, please elevate this stage so they all have to look up at me. From those heights, y'all all look so small. While you're down there, please be sure to perceive me as more than what I am. It's the air under my wings that keeps my self-esteem high. So understand that I love poetry. Yeah. Selfishly. Because I feel small in large crowds, just desperately trying to evade y'all perceptions of me. But These days it just don't seem to be working because, you see, I'm drowning in an ocean of y'all comprehension, and it seems like I'm anchored down in it, and I'm growing more hollow by the minute, becoming stone stiff and eggshell brittle. At least until I get up here on the stage, because when I'm up here, it's like the ignition to my soul has been triggered, and it makes me wonder, is this what living feels like?
Amen.
To have the earth and sky violently embracing, to have your dreams and reality beautifully collide, because if this is what life is like, then I want to live 1,000,001 times, because when I leave this stage, I feel like I lose touch with myself. So please, don't force me to leave. I'm just learning how to breathe. The air's different up here, you know, but I don't know why I chase after the sun. It's not like they actually want me. Every time I get close, my wings just burn crisp, and now I'm on this descent, coming straight back down to earth, and it's like a worse punishment than the crash, this anticipation of dying. I can't take it. It's like living with no purpose, just merely existing, but I come smack down to the ground, and now I'm here, and I'll tell you this, my name is not Icarus. My name is Lazarus, and one day I will resurrect with a microphone in hand, and maybe I'll find purpose.
Yo.
I find a lot of artists end up running back to this stage, not because they actually have something to say, but because they're afraid that they have nothing to live for. I find that artists oftentimes will find more identity in who they are up here than who they actually are the other hours of the day.
Yeah.
And I want for you to examine whether or not that is you. Are you living merely for the highs of these moments and whatever other highs you may be chasing, and then feeling immensely depleted in the meantime, between time? Because guess what? That's no way to live. I'm telling you now, I've been there, I've done that, I fought against that. As an artist, it's been a very hard thing to do, especially when you find success in it. It's easy to bury yourself into the success, right? And oftentimes, one of the biggest things that'll end up happening is we'll get rewarded for the things that we'll do up here in a way that we won't get awarded other places, right? We'll get applause, a lot of people tell us we're dope, people tell us that we love what you did, and oftentimes they love what we did because we led on stage, and we feel like that's the only way we can be loved.
Yeah.
And that's not true. Because, like, I am a poet. I find solace in words. I found home in a notebook, a blank canvas that I've learned to paint with only some of the colors of me. Because, honestly, this pen has learned how to paint purgatory populously, while joy is but a thin through line in which I've yet learned to reside. Because, you see, I've given so much cerebral real estate to my pain that there's no place for my joy to lay claim to this home. And looking back at these poems, I don't know how anyone would recognize the healing hands of God and nurse this fractured pot hole. Have you ever heard of a Japanese art called kintsugi? If not, what it is when a broken pot is shattered, and then they use gold to put it back together, making it more valuable than it ever was before, and I am the clay.
Oh, yeah.
Eternal pot that shattered upon collision with sin, made whole again, and somehow I only ever tell poems about my brokenness. Ignoring the times where the navigational lines of my bliss are up in these cheeks, ignoring the time where time don't run on time because it felt like it was moving in slow motion, though it also felt like it flew by in a second. You see, these are contradictory recollections, but joy don't gotta make no sense. It just has to be what it is. So I will treat this pen like the sun and let it follow the old adage that joy will come in the morning. So I will lift this pen like the sun, let it rise with joy, turn this pad into a home where pain needs healing. And I'm no longer kicking everything out of my living room, but I'm moving a love seat in because I'm finally making room for this. I'm no longer just dying because I am a poet. I find solace in words. I found home in a notebook, a blank canvas that I'm learning now to paint with all the hues that I belong to. There is beauty in our joy, but humanity does a better job at commiseration than we do actually celebration. I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine. I actually just brought him with me to, we performed in Chicago, and then we performed in Gary, Indiana. He's from Gary. And we talked about how he's like almost 40, I'm 30, and I still say that I'm a fatherless child. I haven't been a fatherless child for a long time, but I identify with that because it's almost as if it feels better to win knowing I had to overcome. When that's never the point of the journey. The point of it isn't what you make it through, it's the fact that you just continue to go through. There's no more added value in the journey if you had to go through persecution than if you did not. That's only a myth that we believe in the movie. Same way that how many of us take pride in being able to say, yo, I did it on my own. Who cares? Don't we all care and love for the village and desire the village, but then we then denigrate it by saying, hey, yo, I did it without it.
Yeah.
There's no value in these things that we place so much identity in, including this space. After winning America's Got Talent, I can tell you now, I thought that winning would have defined who I was as a person. Because I was like, yo, I did something no poet has ever done. The community must love me for it now. And I received more backlash and more hate than I ever did from the poets who I thought would care for me than I did at any other point in my life journey with art. And the reality was, this community, not all of it, but some of it, is solely based on what you get from it. And what I mean by that is, a room, how many of us have been guilty of being the poet who shows up solely to spit at the open mic and then not listen? I like sitting in the back, and I like getting my head distracted because I get the chance to listen better when distracted. Because if I just look at you while you perform, I'm not going to hear half the stuff you say. But I loved coming to open mics to be able to hear artists do their work. Whether I thought they were good or not, irrelevant. I loved being able to learn from what other people do.
Amen.
And I'll tell you now, when you find identity more so here on this stage or anything that you do, what you will find is you will end up on a very quick road to some very severe spiritual and mental issues. And I found myself there. Forgive me, this next poem is one called Conversations. I have not performed this poem in 4 years. So this will be my first time trying to give it a shot to see how it goes. Cool? This is a very tough decision. Trying to figure out which one I should choose. I mean, this one gives me more bang for my buck, but the honest truth is, I never finished this big bag of fish. It always goes to waste. And then suddenly I hear a voice from the back of the room say, Brandon, is that you? And I immediately stop. I turn around and do my customary thing. Hey. Knowing I didn't feel like talking to anybody in that moment. But I say, man, how you been? And everything from, do you really want to know? Do you really want to sit through my myriad of facades so you can actually see me? No. See, I'll give you the easy way out. Because my yoke is heavy and my burden is tough, so I'll just tell you this. I've been good. How about you? It all slows down. You see, these words come out of my mouth so easy. They flow from my lips like a fangirl's favorite song. I think could. Because maybe if I say these words enough times, it'll finally be true. Because I've been good. I've been good. Yeah, man, I heard about what happened with you from Shauna the other week. oh, you mean that happened? One where I slit cuts into my wrist so that way it could bleed out its own obituary.
Wow.
So that way it could say all the words I was never actually able to utter. You mean that happened? Unfreeze. Oh, that. Silly mistake. I was shaving, ended up nicking myself in the wrong spot. It's, not anything to worry about. There's never comfort in a lie when the only person you're lying to is yourself.
Yeah.
Come on. See, the issue isn't that I don't need help, it's just that I don't have the strength to pick up the phone. And besides, do you want to be my savior? Do you want to help carry this infectious despondency? Because I promise you that this noose is one size fit all, and it can most certainly fit more than one soul. Do you really want to find out if the Walking Dead is a real thing? Hey, yo, man. I'm sorry, dog. I gotta go. The spinach ain't gonna purchase itself. I'll holler at you later. I hope he follows. I hope he asks how I'm doing. I hope he follows. I hope he asks how I'm doing again. I hope he follows. I hope he doesn't leave me alone again. I say a prayer and ask God, am I defective? Or am I still just running a race I was never meant to be in? After winning America's Got Talent, a week later I was offered the chance to go to the Ellen DeGeneres show, and I got the chance to go perform a poem I did for Breonna Taylor. Absolutely loved the chance that I got. I cried in the parking lot of my hotel the night before because I felt immensely empty. I don't know everybody's spiritual journey here. I identify as Christian. And what my response back to my prayer was, Brandon, winning or losing was never your defining marker. I gave you purpose no matter what people thought about it. And that was really comforting because I've been a person who's battled with perfectionism my entire life. Who thought that my only value to the world was whether or not I was actually good enough for it. Not having a father will do those things to you. Because I thought if I could just, also being black in this country will do that to you. My grandma taught me at a very young age, young man, you gotta be twice as good to get half as much. And so I've always had this worker's mentality that, my value is directly associated with how good I am. My value is attached to how good I am. And what I learned from that was that I could never make mistakes. I learned that I could never make mistakes. I could never have missteps. And it's a hard thing because, you just can't look down so you don't lose your balance. Brandon, I'm warning you, don't do this, bro. Just don't look down and you won't lose your balance. Brandon, I'm warning you right now, dog. This is not what you want. Brandon, just don't look down and you won't lose your balance. I'm warning you right now, B. Just don't look down and you won't lose your balance, bro. I told you, don't. Growing up a church kid, spent the majority of my young blossoming faith on the tightrope. To my left is everything that I can't do. To my right is everything that I can't say. Behind me is everything I can't think about. And I'm now walking this thin line that we call obedience. Because, God, maybe if I diminish these faults of mine, our relationship wouldn't be so shaky. But who am I kidding? We've never been on solid ground. See, I just wanted to give you my best because on Sundays they say we're not in a religion, but instead a relationship. And in a relationship, you do things for your partner, not out of obligation, but instead out of long-lasting infatuation. And that is true. Please, y'all, help me track this train of thought. I love God. Please, I say so. I would do do anything for God, at least half the time I think so. But if I'm being real, my thoughts, words, and actions don't always align with that statement. So logically, my mind begins to wonder, am I faking? Is my love in this relationship faking? I'm just saying, I've been kneeling and praying for so long that my knees caught burn, pondering this idea of how I truly love God. But if I open my closet at Sunday service, would they just say this whole thing's been a facade? You know, this walk with God has been getting hard, and it wasn't always like this. See, I still remember the bliss of salvation's rush. Coming up out of that baptismal water was like a new beginning. My stride, so smooth and so effortless. My walk, so easy and so joyous, and then came a misstep. But you know what? We all make mistakes. You feel me? And then came another misstep. And then, you know what? We are human. And that's a part of the journey. And then came another misstep. And I had to remind myself that, you know what? That God's grace is sufficient misstep. God's grace is sufficient misstep. God's grace is sufficient misstep. Hey, oh God, when's your grace don't kick in misstep? God, I don't know why I keep on slipping misstep. God, I'm going to need your grace to kick in misstep. Hey, oh God, if you don't show up, I'm going to have to give you misstep. Hey, oh God, hey, oh God. Hey, oh God. If you're actually up there, then we need to talk.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, God, we don't even really need the dialogue. You need to listen. How come your ear don't ever come around here? Huh? Tell me that. Tell me how come your presence ain't ever gifted to me? How come your garland of grace don't ever grace this family tree? I'm pissed off. Because you said in your word that you would never leave me nor forsake me, that I just buried my brother, my sister, my grandfather. In this isolation I'm feeling as a mother. So, God, where you at? Because it would be real nice to know that you're actually there. To know that these doubts I've carried my entire life are as much fallacy as they've always claimed to be. Because I've only ever wanted clarity on your existence because I have one life that I'm living in. And death's doubts got my hourglass cracking. I'm losing time. This fear of not knowing what's on the other side of this existence is crippling me. I can feel his hands gripping around my throat and he says, I don't know if I could breathe no more. And that's why I need to know. That's why I actually need to know that you're up there on that throne, because if you're not, then I need to move on. I need to place my face somewhere else. God, I never wanted to get this far, but with you by my side, I just didn't think my life would be this hard. I didn't think I'd have to bury so many parts of myself. I didn't think I'd be chasing after so many others. I didn't think that perfectionism would swallow me. Oh, God, I just thought that with you, I could finally let go of all those friends and family who deserted me, of all those sleepless nights pining over this world's affection. Now I'm just tirelessly hoping for your acceptance. So, God, just tell me, are you up there? Hey, oh, God, just tell me, are you actually up there? Hey, oh, God, just tell me, are you actually up there? Yeah. That's what I thought. You know, when the Bible says we're all God's sons and daughters, I realize now that my biological father believes parenting skills from me. Because God, I don't know why you can't just be here. I don't know why you can't just show your face. My faith would have been so much simpler that way because of God. I never wanted to doubt you. It's just I can't spend my life serving my grandma's imaginary friend. So, God. Hey, oh, God. Yo, God, I don't really need you to listen no more. God, I need you to speak. God, I need you to speak because my soul is dying and I'm afraid that you won't be here to resurrect it this time. I mentioned earlier, I wanted to know what you were in need of. I've come to learn that oftentimes the things that we are so desperately in need of, we don't receive because we never ask. We never genuinely put them up to be able to be given. We oftentimes play games with our desires and with our needs because we feel bad, as if asking for the very thing that will continue to give us life is going to make it guilty, or make us guilty of not being enough. When not being enough is what humanity has always been. We've always been broken, never not been beautiful. We are that pot that got stitched back together with gold. We got the chance to be made good. And that's the fun part, is that it is our brokenness that allows for us to then bring other people into healing. That's the whole point of this art. I don't come on stage to just share poems about how I've gone through stuff. I share these poems in hopes that people will be able to hear what I say and have an easier time journeying the path that I went there. Because what is commiseration if we never actually come to the destination of healing? And so for myself, this will be your first time hearing this. This is my last tour. Me and poetry will be done for an extended period of time after this tour is a wrap. I'm taking off. I'm not stopping being an artist, but I know I have greater purpose elsewhere. And I'm excited for that. I've had a great deal that I've been able to offer and give, but this is not who Brandon is. This is just an aspect of it. And when I was finally able to let go of this thing that I held on to, I was able to receive something so much greater. And so that last poem was an angry prayer. I said it on the side of I-5 after I had proposed to a woman, or I bought an engagement ring for a woman who I had been dating for 3 years. We split. I lost my job, lost my apartment, was forced to move back into a home with my mom and share a room with my 8-year-old little brother. I was 22 years old with a bachelor's degree. It was the most humbling experience I'd ever had. I was driving to an open mic and I asked God, why did I have to suffer so much? And I got a response. So my last poem for the day will be my response. And so, here it goes. Deficiencies, you're lurking through my mind. I long to escape from you, but I'm running out of time. Deficiencies, you're combing through my soul. All of this hurt I hid, will anyone ever know? Deficiencies, you're pulsing through my heart. God, I'm just pleading to you now, please. I just need a fresh start. Yo, deficiencies, how I can truly see that my sanity is destined for the same fate as humanity. And then it all goes dark. Brandon, my son, I heard every single one of your prayers. My eyes not blind to your suffering, neither my ears deaf to all that you've gone through. Brandon, I got a question for you. All those nights you would fall down on your knees, did you genuinely seek after me, or did you only come for the healing I bring? Did you come open hands and heart ready to receive, or did you come closed mind and fist as your emotions twisted you into a tornado that destroyed everything that didn't look like the solution you wanted? Brandon, my son, every time you look in the mirror, all you see are deficiencies. All you see are scars that wreaked havoc on you mentally. Brandon, my son, a scar is a sign of healing that has come, so don't you dare let your story end with pain, because if you look beyond the surface, I will promise you will find me. You will find me in that loving hand of your mother who gave up pieces of herself so you could be whole from your father's absence. You will find me in the head of protection up and around you while you were sheep amongst wolves just trying to fit in. You will find me in the loving arms of your wife that will make you question why you look for this love in the arms of anyone else. You will find me in the surge of bliss after you first showed up to me. And you will find me in the words of the book you ain't opened up since. Brandon, I'm telling you right now, there is no condemnation in my kingdom. There's only love and abundance. And you elect to allow your jealousy to burn that up like chaff to the wind. And then you end up blaming me for the result. Brandon, you will find me. And the people who beside you, but now reside inside you. Brandon, you will find me in everything you've ever lived through and lived in. Brandon, there is no true love without first choice, and I've always given you a choice to choose. But a filthy acclaim, my love, has none of your human limitations. It's not dictated by your deficiencies. I don't care who you are, who you may be. My kingdom is open for anybody who wants me. Brandon, my question to you is, do you believe? Deficiencies, you once control my mind. But you no longer welcome here. And God showed up just in time. Deficiencies, you once come through my soul, but all of that hurt I hid, God knows and still whole. Deficiencies, you once pulsed through my heart, but God got my fresh start. Deficiencies, now I can truly see that I may be broken, but still beautiful. So here's my goodbye, sincerely me. What I'd like to offer for anybody who would like it is, I have a table over here. I have merch stuff. If you want to support, you can come, but that's not what I care about. If you came in here heavy, I would love to offer a chance. I don't care if you believe in the God that I serve or not. I would love to offer a chance for me to pray with you, to be able to let you lead your life. I'm not asking you to join some religion. I'm not asking you to join some cult. I don't care about that. All I want to do is make sure that people can leave here with a joyous spirit and a lighter heart than what they came with.
Yeah.
So, if you would see yourself in need of that, come find me. I promise I'm not long-winded like I am on stage. But one thing that I'm doing on this tour is I'm offering a chance for people to ask whatever they like. I'm a very open book. The only thing I don't talk about is my sex life, so if you have questions about that, go check out my OnlyFans. So, you can ask me about artistry, you can ask me about how poetry and I came to where I'm at now, you can ask me about AGT, I'll give you a few bits of information. I did a 150 show tour before I was ever on America's Got Talent. I went to New Zealand, Canada, Mexico, 36 states around the country without representation. I booked it all myself. I'm on a 60 show tour right now over 4 months. Booked it all myself without representation. I started a clothing business. I run workshops in schools. In fact, I am a 6-figure earner doing workshops in schools.
Terrific.
And so I'm an anime nerd, Division II college basketball player, and very clearly somebody who believes in Jesus. But the floor is now yours. Whatever you'd like to know, I'm here for.
Do you live in Los Angeles?
Hell no. I live in Stockton.
Oh, right.
I got offered a chance to be able to go out to LA and do the Hollywood thing.
Yeah.
But what I learned quickly was my mentor, who's my uncle, told me, Brandon, it was the day before I went to the show, he said, Brandon, you must draw your lines now, because if you don't, Hollywood will draw them for you.
Ooh, right.
And I was like, cool. And so I've actually said no to I got offered a couple major Hollywood things that I felt would have compromised who I was as a person, so I said no.
Yeah.
And I probably would have weighed way more money, but I enjoy sleeping well at night.
Really? Hey, yeah.
You had your hand half up.
Yeah, I was going to say the statement that I'm going to say it anyway. I do think it's interesting that you said that you booked the tour all by yourself, but in one of your earlier poems you were talking about doing things all by yourself.
Oh yeah. The whole thing about doing it all on your own is it's not a badge of honor, right? Like, the reason why I mentioned all by myself in that regard is because most poets don't believe that they actually can.
That's why I like.
You know what I mean? Like, because see the tour and they're like, man, yo, like if I had a booking agent, it's like, don't need it. Like you're wasting 10% of
Yeah.
your potential income on somebody who's not gonna bring a lot. Until you get to a higher point where you like for instance, you do hip hop and poetry, right? And so what's the, like, in an ideal scenario, if a college called you and said, yo, we have a 30-minute set, how much would you ask for?
How much money?
Yes.
Oh, shit. I've never had that offer before. $4,000.
So 4,000. So 4,000 is a good number to ask, right? So right now I'm a 5-figure person to go to a college.
Okay. Wow.
So
Good God.
the cool part about that is at 5 figures, 10% still leaves me with 5 figures. At the early stages, I was making $2,000 a college. That's me losing $200. $200 is the difference between paying rent and not paying rent.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So I was like, yo, I need all 2 racks. So I'll hustle, I'll do everything I need to do until I can get the people. And now I have a team. Now I have people. I'm excited to have people. Because doing a solo sucks. Boom, boom.
So something that like really stood out to me that was like amazing about your reading, just performance goes from performance aspect was how you were reading your poem, but it was more as if you were conversating, and you were talking, speaking to the audience, and also a lot of the emotional cues and body language, like moving the chair and whatnot. I was wondering if that was something that has come naturally to you, or if there's something in particular maybe that like inspired you to do that, or operate in that space.
I rehearse and rehearse and rehearse so that way I can come to a point where I can do what feels natural. Most people try to do it reverse. They try to be natural till like they can get it rehearsed. I do it the opposite because I feel if I can do this poem one way, great, then I can then branch out to find what other aspects can make it better. So for instance, nothing you saw today, I've ever done before. I've never had a chair on stage. And so for myself, I was like, how am I honestly feeling? And I felt like punching this chair. I felt like sitting down and talking. So yeah, no. It's meant to be a conversation, which is why I give the introduction I give. It's meant to be like Black church. Oh.
That's right.
Can you speak to purpose regarding what you do versus who you are?
Yeah. Western culture teaches folks that what we do is probably the most significant aspect of who we are. That's why universities exist in the fashion that they do. That's why jobs exist in the fashion that they do. We spend more time at work than we do at home. We spend more time at school. Like if you think about it, once kids hit 5 years old, they spend less time with their parents than they spend more time with teachers than they do with their parents, right? And it's because the model is set for us to be able to find all of who we are in the thing that we elect to go do. And I just don't believe that. Part of it is my faith, but also part of it is just recognizing our society is too fickle for us to solely be one thing. We don't do nuance well as a culture, which is why high school sucks. But the honest truth is the real world is just big high school, right? Like we gossip the same way we did in high school. It's just, we start talking about Karen at the water heater as opposed to, homegirl at the back of the gym or whatever, right? And so it's, like if we learned to appreciate people's nuance, I think we would be able to be far better as a culture at being able to let people have things that they do that don't define them. Because I think, especially when the pandemic hit, everybody had to be like, oh, what's your hobby? What's the thing you like? Make it a hustle. Like, make money off that thing. How do you monetize that? Boom, 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 boom. And like, I had to slow myself down because I started doing it. And like, for instance, who here would like to be a professional artist? cool. Because here's my thing. If you tell me you want to be a professional artist, I have a higher standard for you. If you tell me you do art because it's your catharsis, then I hold you to the fact that you made dope art because you made it. If you want to be professional, guess what, dog? Making it is not the only thing that makes your art good no more. But if it's just because you want to share, dog, share and break out that. I don't care. I don't care if you rapping off beat like Blueface. Pete, do it. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't hit the falsetto right. That's okay. That's what you having fun with it. Same way I be at the bowling alley. Am I striking out? Am I hitting strikes every time? No, I'm having fun while I'm out there. But if I was a professional bowler and I told you like, hey man, I'm trying to be a professional bowler, and then you smoked me as I was telling you I'm going to be a professional bowler, you'd be like, hey man, you should probably work on that. So yeah.
What called you to be here today?
What called me to be here today? And an honest question is, the honest answer to that is, to say goodbye. I'm coming back to all the places that I started. And I'm getting a chance to close it out right. I don't know when I'll come back and if I will. But I know that my time with spoken word has been a very beautiful 10 years. And it's given me a lot. I found so much healing in it. It brought me a better understanding. It made me a better believer because I found all the ways that I was immensely ignorant to other people. Like, I was one of those Bible thumping folk who would go to who would talk to LGBTQIA plus people and be like, oh yo, like you're sinful, and then like got immensely humbled coming here and got the chance to learn and find people's humanity. And like I'm forever grateful for that because I have the space to be flawed here. And it made me the person who got the chance to go back to the church and be like, y'all, no. Right? But in the same way, I was able to be a loving source of hope for some people, to be able to go out and be a friend, to find friends. Because I know if I ever come back to poetry the way I'm doing it now, because I'm never going to stop writing, it's just I don't feel inclined to share as much anymore, at least on stage. But if there ever comes a time, I know I'll be able to come back to Santa Cruz.
That's right.
And be able to come do this again, for whenever the moment's right. So I came so I could bid farewell.
Where are you being called to?
I'm being called back home. I have a 3-year-old daughter and a 1.5-year-old son. And if I do the math, I've missed 12 months of my daughter's life. I've missed 10 months of my son's life. And that math ain't math. My greatest calling is always to be a husband and father. One of my friends, he's a phenomenal poet, Black Chocolate, if you've ever seen him. He's absolutely phenomenal. He told me, he was like, man, on my tombstone, I'd like it to read that I was the greatest poet alive. And I said, if that's what they put on my tombstone, then I feel like I failed. Because there's so many more things that I find value in than being on this stage. And so, artistically, I feel called to writing scripts. So I'm currently a teacher of digital media. I'm a professor of digital media at a local community college. And so I'm working with a select group of 5 students, and we are going to film 5 television shows that I've written. So I'm going into a director-actor role in this next artistic film. But I'm coming back to my city because I feel inclined to be a more steady force there. I'm gonna host one of the funnest poetry slams in the world. I have planned. I'm still in Rudy Francisco's idea of doing what's the name of it? March Madness style slam. If you're a sports fan, you know what that is. But no, we're gonna put $10,000 in, and we'll take 100 poets, and you get 1v1 against one other poet, and you get one poem, all the way up to the final. so the final four will be, instead of competing, poem for poem, set for set, you have to give a 20-minute set. No prop fouls, nothing stands in the way, you can dress your stage as you want to, because I like to expand poetry. By the way, how many of you all know that Spoken Word has an hour-long poetry special that hit national television last year? It was mine. If you go to the CW.com and type in my name, you will find A Family Affair. It's an hour-long special, features 8 of my spoken word pieces. It's the first nationally televised spoken word special ever. So yeah, I want to expand our art. I'm called to my schools. I'm taking over 30 schools next year. I adopted 20 this year, so I'll have a total of 50. I'm going to employ 10 poets to take over these schools with me, and there'll be poets in residence at the school. I'm supposed to be a thermostat, not a thermometer anymore. My job is to change temperatures in rooms, not reading.
That's right.
I just want to say thank you, first of all. Welcome back to the Holy Cross. I first heard of you a couple weeks ago. Checked out the video. And I was like, it's pretty powerful. And I believe that I'm convinced. And one thing I said afterwards, tears. I said, I hope you don't stay stuck in your story. And we should perform it here today. Show them that you're not, that you kind of answered that. In major ways. I say thank you.
Oh, no problem, man. There's no purpose in staying a victim.
Right.
It's cool because you can kind of continue to like self-sabotage yourself by staying there and make excuses for not moving. But at some point in time, we all have to get up and say, I want better. And yeah, my biggest moment of choosing better was the day I called my father and I invited him to my wedding. It was the first time he and I spoke in 24 years. I was 25. And I told him, I'm like, yo, my children deserve a grandfather even if you weren't my father. He came to my wedding. First time I hugged him was at the airport. And I told him, understand, this is about me and my wife getting married, because if we make this some father-son reunion thing, she'll kill us both. And he was a spectator. Now, do we talk a whole lot now? No. But there was a generational healing that occurred, and when I got the chance to hold my son for the first time, it showed me. I was like, man, my son will never have the question, does his father love him, the same way I asked that question. My son will forever know. If nobody else got me, Pops got me. Like, Pops will sock the kid at the playground. And like pick up the charge for me one time. We got bail money. You feel me? That type of love. And my daughter knows Daddy would kill somebody over me.
You gonna make us all show up to court, ain't you?
Hey man.
We gonna all bail you out. I'm gonna have to call God myself.
But no, I got time for 2 more. Boom, boom.
Beverly, you mentioned that when you got to the point where you won America's Got Talent, you thought that you were gonna get support from people that you admired and guided you, and then when you got to that point, what was that like when you realize that everybody really ain't in your corner.
Yeah. So it happened in stages. So like the first thing that happened was everybody ran to me, and everybody wanted my attention and time. And it was like, oh, folks who never really rocked with me are now rocking with me. And that kind of felt cool, because I was like, yo, maybe they're like feeling like I'm validated in their eyes now. But then came the second wave, which was I had some really dope poet friends who collabed with me. And they got crap. They're like, yo, how come you open it up to him? He's whack. And they were other poets saying this about me. And I'm like, well, didn't you also just vote for me? So why wouldn't you? Because here's the thing, and this isn't exclusive to poetry, it's exclusive to all art. Artists are short-sighted in the sense that, and it's actually not just artists, people are short-sighted in the sense that they don't support things, not recognizing the benefit that can come down the line for them. Right? For instance, this room was sold out because how many poets are here in Santa Cruz?
Enough to fill this room.
Right? If every poet filled this room, this space would look at poetry and be like, yo, we need poetry once a week. I need to put up a poetry event all the time because it has the support. That's what hip hop got right. Hip hop artists showed up to hip hop artist events that they would never spit on, that they would never do anything with. But they were there because they like, oh, I'm for hip hop. And most poets aren't for poetry, they're for their own self-expression.
That part.
Preach, preacher.
Tell
Come
him.
on now.
And so, but no, so that part happened. And then the third part was, as my star, quote unquote, descended, the people who flocked to me then also ran from me. And they thought that they couldn't get benefit from it anymore. Not understanding I'm playing a long game. Because Samuel L. Jackson didn't star in his first movie till he was 45. I'm like, I'm 30, so I got 15. Sweet.
It's about the time Jesus was Jesus.
Like 33, man.
Booking in the light.
One more. Oh.
Yeah, I just want to say I respect you. I've been paying attention to you for a long time, man. I'm glad you came back to Santa Cruz. It is an honor, yo, and I just want to say, it's like, as an artist myself, in my community, it's dope to see guys like you doing it, because it shows guys like us that are in the trenches out here, that there's like possibilities. I'm about to turn 40 this year, and I tell you, man, I've been dedicating my life in Santa Cruz for 17 years, doing hip-hop and spoken word, and it's a very hard business, man, because there's so many haters, and not everybody want to see you get up to the next level, man. But I tell you one thing, where I'm at right now, I'm happy. I get to do what I love every day and get paid for it. And I'm blessed because I came from the gutter, yo. And I understand how you feel. Like, I didn't have my father. My father's been going for like 3 years and shit. And I understand what you feel, man. So I appreciate you guys because it shows no matter what goes on, you still gotta do it for yourself. And I commend that. Because like guys like me and Khan, there's artists, we're out there in the trenches every single day doing work, dog. And it's a hard business. Sometimes it's like, I ask myself, why am I still doing this shit? And then I think about those young kids that come up and they see artists like me. They ain't too many of us left. So I commend you guys for what you're doing, man. And keep going because it inspires everybody around the whole world for what you're doing.
Thank you. No, and I appreciate that. Because at the end of the day, you know, like, you four are UCSC students, correct? There will be, hopefully, a writing prompt on joy that comes to y'all writers group. A writing prompt outside of our pain. Because we immortalize our pain very well. And don't we deserve to immortalize our joy as well?
That part.
Right? And so, as we make art, I come back to these spaces because, you know, high tide should raise all ships. And my time winning AGT was high tide. And I only won because of people like y'all. And if I were to then forsake the people who helped me get there, then what was the point? So with that in mind, I'm gonna go there. This will be my pitch time. Let me leave here with less stuff than I came with.
That's right, that's right.
I have books. It's a book of my poetry called Unraveling. If you're a writer and you're like, yo, I need a good notebook, I have a leather-bound notebook with quotes from my poetry on it. I have a clothing brand named Visionary. So I have a Visionary t-shirt over there. And then the second one is part of my Visionary brand, but it says Broken But Beautiful. And it has that kintsugi art on it. Both are embroidered. Books are 20, notebooks are 15, shirts are 25. And if you buy more than one thing, you get a discount. And for my students, I know y'all be broke college students. For you four especially, if you want something, throw me a number that works for you and we'll make it work. I trust that it'll come back to me at some point.
Also, you guys, the pot at the door, all y'all that paid to get in here goes to Brandon tonight. So if you don't have or want something, you can still throw into Suzanne, and it's going to go to Brandon to send him off with as much as we can. So bless Suzanne so that we can bless Brandon and whatever he's got going on in his life.
And also, remember, if you're like, yo, I'd like to leave light, and I'd like to get prayed for. Once again, if you want to do the whole get to know Jesus thing, I'm up for it. But if that's not where you at, and you're just like, hey fam, all I want to do is say this thing and have somebody else throw some positive energy towards it, I'm here for that as well.
And I'm going to ask each of you to pour into him because he's poured into all of you. So that's the way Mic Drop does life. So we love each other. So as much as he wants to love on all y'all, I'm going to ask you all to love on him. So let's break bread.
So yeah, see y'all over at the table.
I told y'all wasn't ready. I told y'all was not ready. Just remember, reciprocity is key. Yes. And the high tide should raise all ships. Come on, man. Preach, brother. Yes. Come on now. Thanks for coming out. God bless. Good night. Yes.
Hold on one second.